Melissa.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome back
Here we are again.
to
So,
post Super Bowl week.
so I'm wearing Eagles gear, and I'm either really happy the day this is on, or I'm really sad. So, and to give you like some backstory, not some backstory, some inside information.
Little peek behind the curtain, if you
Yeah,
will.
yeah. So, assuming that the Eagles win the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl on Sunday, I will have been at the Magic Kingdom for the Super Bowl parade. Assuming that the Super Bowl parade's at the Magic Kingdom because the game's on the East Coast.
Oh, you don't know that ahead of time.
I mean, they probably announced it somewhere, but that would require effort. And I got too much going on to have effort to look into that. But I'm sure it is because usually if it's a West Coast game, they've done it on at Disneyland.
But this year it's at New
It's
Orleans.
It's in New Orleans, yeah.
New Orleans.
So while you're hearing this for the first time, I'm probably really, really happy, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So today,
I think I got caramel syrup in my hair.
wow, and that fits right in with the topic of like things we can't figure out why they are the way they are.
Things that don't make sense to me.
Things that don't make sense.
I feel like there are a lot of things that don't like the one thing you gave.
Yeah. I said, and I probably stole this joke from somebody, but
I have seen it somewhere.
Why do we park on driveways and drive on parkways? That makes no sense. You know the one I really don't understand though. And I saw this years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving along a highway, and I've seen them along many highways. There's some
Mm-hmm.
they have signs that say fog area, and I can never figure out what's the point of that sign? Why did they pay to put up a sign that said fog area? Because like if I'm driving through that area and it's first of all it's not always foggy, right? It's only sometimes that it's foggy.
Right.
If I'm driving through that area and it's foggy, I'm going to see that it's foggy. I don't need a sign to tell me. And there's a high likelihood that if I'm driving through that area and it's foggy, the sign won't be visible because it's foggy. There was another one similar.
The only way you're gonna see it is if you are right up on it, which at that point I can see that there's fog.
And what's
the warning for?
Being very serious, what's the point of that sign?
What's the
like? Was it just that somebody in
so that you
government's
can just
brother was
yourself.
working for a sign company and he was like, I need to sell some signs this quarter, and he was like, I know, make me some signs that say a fog area. It's like you know what the other one is? When they put when there's like a dip in the road, and they just put a sign next to it telling you there's a dip in the road.
That's like, just to make you like slow down.
No, fix the dip. Like it can't cost much more to fix the dip than it does to
add the sign there everywhere.
Yeah.
Or the warning of a speed bump. Those are always fun.
Speed bump is different because that's there for an intended purpose. But usually when it's like a dip in the road, it's just like, yeah, the ground settled a little bit there. We're not gonna fix it.
It would be like pothole.
So those are my starters. What do you got over there?
What was the one we were just talking about? The presidents.
Oh,
we were saying how it doesn't make sense that every time, which I didn't really know that, to be honest, until this past election, that each time they are reelected, it counts as one. I didn't know that until this election.
Yeah, so for example, like you had Reagan or you had Clinton, or
you're serving back to back, you
Bush.
Would be 48 and 49.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Now with Trump, like Trump had a break in between there. So that makes sense because you can't, he was, you're going to still say he was the 45th, even though there was a 46th, that makes more sense. But,
yeah, I guess
but when it's back-to-back ones, it's like, no, but he's still, I mean, I guess I get it because
they're looking at it like you're...
Yeah, it could have been somebody else. Somebody else ran and could have won, so he won again, so it's
like they were electing for the 49th president.
Yeah.
So if you're electing for that president, it doesn't matter who it is.
So like Trump is the 47th president, But how many unique presidents have we had? Go.
How many? How many are we at right now?
We're at
47?
47. But we've had quite a few who've served multiple terms. Matter of fact, up until I forget which amendment, I don't think there was term limits. I think it was term limits were added.
I'm going to say 36.
36. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say. Okay, Google. How many distinct presidents has the United States had? Let's see what we get.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't even know how to Google it to
Google
ask.
Google answered a different question. For,
Oh, I'm not even on Google.
yeah, she's answering a much different question.
Where are there? I put individual presidents.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Please stand by while we get this answer from our smart devices that weren't really that smart.
45 men have served in 47 presidencies. That doesn't make sense because I
That
know
math
two of
doesn't.
them. I know two of
Because
them.
Reagan served 2 terms.
Obama and Trump served
Okay,
two
so
terms.
maybe they only count that as maybe they don't increment it in those cases. Maybe in that case they don't.
So they are counting it as.
You know what? Let's just look this up because I was always under the impression because even that's what
That's
that is
what.
actually what Google said. So Google, I apologize. You did answer the question correctly. Um,
That's funny. 45 men have served 47. So maybe they count it
yeah,
like. I don't know. Someone knows
yeah.
about this?
On here they've just hold on. I'm trying to find a reliable source, and Google just gave me a list, but they didn't
How
really
many
give it
different.
by
Oh, this is
number.
38.
38. See, well now we're okay. So we've got. I've got a list here. Ooh.
That's probably what I was looking at.
Yeah. So it lists. Yeah, because it doesn't like on this one. It lists Bill Clinton as the 42nd president, and it lists his term as having been eight years. It lists uh,
I don't even know
George
if I'm
W.
looking at
Bush is
them.
the 43rd. Yeah. So okay. So our misunderstanding was completely created by the situation of having Joe Biden fall between the two Trump terms, if that makes sense. So it was just a misunderstanding. So see, we didn't understand it, but it wasn't. It was because we misunderstood
So
it.
we all learned something here
We
today.
all learned. I hope you learned something
You know
today.
what also doesn't make sense to me? Yawning.
Yawning.
Yawning doesn't make sense to me. And why is it contagious?
I don't know.
Because I know we do it because apparently our brain is low on oxygen, but how is me yawning
Right.
gaining that back, helping the
It's
situation?
because you look at
And
somebody
why
else
is it
doing it.
contagious? Why, if you look at me yawning, now your brain is low on oxygen too?
Yeah. Well, no, it's not the. My brain wasn't low on oxygen, but my brain sees somebody else yawning and goes, oh, I would like some more oxygen too.
What? I don't
That
understand.
that's a good
Yawning.
that's a good question. That's a very good question. And that's a real thing too.
I
mean, that's
know.
definitely a real thing.
I
If you're ever in a
know.
room of tired people, it's
You start yawning too.
yeah.
And yeah, and I don't like, I don't prefer yawning.
Yeah.
Or also like fish in the sea. How are there so many fish in the sea?
How are there so many fish?
These are just
No,
like
you know
intrusive
what I
thoughts that
always
like go
yeah,
through
I
my
know.
head during the day.
This is
Like
this
when
is like when you wake up at 2 a.m. and you can't sleep.
That's what
No,
sends
you
me
know
down
what
the TikTok rabbit hole.
Yeah. You know what I always uh, is crazy to think about when you
Mhm.
think about the parts of the ocean
Mhm.
that can't we have no idea what's there. We have no idea what's there. The best equipment we have can't get all the way down to the bottom of the ocean.
We've never been to the deepest part of the sea?
I don't think so. No, I don't think we have a look at that thing with that that thing that went down to the
Oh,
to
the
try to look at
submarine.
the Titanic. Yeah, and like it just crushed, like a tin can, I guess, when it depressurized.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, that's how high the pressure is. So even for them to build like little remote controlled submarines with cameras to go down there, like
Mhm.
those things have to be so, and I know those can only go down so
Yeah, because
far.
something about, but I don't know how we haven't.
And that's, by the way, where the space aliens are. They're not coming from outer space. They're down at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, that would be smart of them because we don't
It's a
explore
good
that
place to hide.
anyway.
It's a good place to hide.
Yeah, we don't explore it
Yeah.
anyways. Yeah, so that's always a mystery to me too. Why are there so many? How are there so many fish in the sea?
Yeah, that I don't. How many are there?
And where
Do
did
you
they
know
come
that?
from?
Where did they come from? Well,
Where did they come from? How do we have so
so
many?
there's two theories, right? One of them is that, like, you know, everything started. I'm laughing because I'm just making this up. Everything started as just like single cells, and then those developed into microorganisms, which then eventually developed into, I guess, sea life, and then we crawled out of the ocean and grew legs, and not me personally, but we we
We as a unit.
yeah, yeah, and let's just say mammals, and yeah. So so everything started with the fish, or there's God, which is the easier answer.
Yeah.
You know that actually you can explain anything that way too. I've found that.
Like if anybody, and you know what's so funny about that is that if anyone asks you a question too that maybe doesn't even make sense to you and you don't have an answer to, just answer with that.
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna question you on religion. I mean,
yeah.
unless
Some people, some
you know what I did
actually a
see.
lot of people
No,
will.
I did see this one comedian, and he was like, he was saying how um about he was talking about religion basically. I'm gonna try not to butcher his joke, but he was talking about religion, and he was saying how, people will um basically like talk about religion, and then the opposing side of it is like, no, God didn't create any, or no, when you die. He was talking about
Right,
when you die.
right,
Okay, sorry guys, I'm all over the place. He was talking about how when you die, people who believe in religion, they believe in, like, that you go to heaven and God and all this stuff.
right.
And he's like, but the opposing side, they just believe in nothing. And they'll make fun of the people who believe
That's true.
in
And
God, but it's like, well,
the,
you think we just like nothing happens.
yeah,
So let me in my
and
little fairy tale.
yeah, well, I will
Well,
disagree
like
with the
not
first.
fairy
No,
tale, but like,
I know what you're saying. But here's the funnier thing, and I've heard this before, is so it's a lot harder to believe to be somebody who doesn't believe in like divine creation because you have to believe that something can come completely out of nothing.
hmm
Like the Big Bang Theory, right? You remember the ride in Epcot where you used to go through and I think it was the Ellen ride. Remember
I
the
thought you were
Ellen
talking
ride?
about the show.
No, the
Oh,
Ellen ride.
yeah, I
Remember
remember
that?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the show. But
Following.
where it had, yeah, where it had that little light, and then all of a sudden that little point of light exploded, and the whole universe was created. Right now,
Yeah.
believing that and saying that it's science, that that theory that the whole universe just came out of nothing. That's a lot harder to grasp onto than there was some sort of plan that created it, right? And by the way, this has gotten a lot deeper all of a sudden, but
Right, it's
like
okay.
talking about things I don't understand. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
And from the other side of it, the other standpoint of it, um, like the belief that when you die, something else happens. You go somewhere else.
hmm
um, that one also, and this people probably very religious people would say this is a bad way to look at it, and this isn't the way I look at it. But
Yeah, we're not trying to turn you away from our
yeah,
podcast.
no, please, please. But so the people, well, for the people who don't believe that there's something else, right? So
hmm
they, in theory, then you would go around living your life however you wanted, no worries about what's going to happen to you after, or
hmm
how you treat other people or any of that. Because when I'm off this planet, I'm just gonna turn into dust, and that's it. Um,
I feel like even to
but
believe that is kind of crazy though,
it
because we
is,
are
yeah,
energy. At the end of the day, like
yeah.
that
But
energy has to go somewhere into
but
something.
but if you believe that, right? But what if you're wrong,
True.
right? Like if I'm if let me say it this way: if you're right and
Mhm.
I'm wrong, and I've spent my whole life believing that what I do here is going to affect me later,
Mhm.
after I'm no longer here, then I've hopefully lived my life as a good person and tried to do the right things and all of that, and tried to live in a moral way, all those kind of things. And if I'm wrong and there is nothing after, well, kind of no harm, no foul. I mean, some people might say, well, I could have been doing all those bad people things, but
Mhm.
no harm, no foul. I've lived my life as a good person and all that. But if I'm right and you're wrong and you're the person who believes there's nothing after,
Yeah.
you know, and you get there,
That's why so many people get religious when they go to jail.
maybe, or people get more religious when they get older too. Because I think
That too,
you
yeah.
start thinking about it and you're like,
Mm.
plus you've seen some things at that point and you're like, there's
True.
something else going on here. Here's one I don't know if this is an I don't understand it, but this is
Mhm.
one I always think about is so on your and I'm talking too much. You have to ask, but on your driver's license you have the thing you check for if you want to be an organ donor, and
Right.
I'm pretty sure I have mine checked, but I often wonder.
I think I got bullied into checking mine.
Yeah, they do pressure you into that, but
Like she
and
stared
I
in my eyes and I was like,
yeah
"Yeah, you can have it."
yeah yeah um
Are they going to you specifically?
yeah because if so I'd like some sort of payment. But so they get you to sign the organ donor thing, and that's all good, and I know that's for good cause, all that.
Yeah.
But what if, like, people who assume that there's something after,
Mhm.
like, what if I get there and I needed those and they took
It doesn't work like
like
that.
what if I get up to heaven and I'm standing at the gates and they look at their list there and they go, yeah, he's a pretty good person.
When you're just
He
standing
was
there
he
with a
went to
kidney
church,
missing,
yeah,
like a
yeah.
hole in your stomach and a
Well,
kidney missing.
yeah, exactly. Or like, like I not to give too much. This might be against HIPAA regulations, but I no longer have a gallbladder. I had my gallbladder removed. And you can probably hear it in my voice.
It's
Uh,
okay. We'll just
it
clear
wasn't,
that. We'll
but
clear that with the
yeah,
HR
but
department that we have
yeah,
on
that's
on.
true. But it wasn't. I wasn't like it wasn't my favorite organ anyway. So I think that's probably my brain.
Yeah, I don't think
My
about my
brain.
gallbladder too
No,
much.
your brain. Yeah, you don't.
I heard
You know what?
that,
I think of it this way. Your appendix. Supposedly they don't even know what it does, right?
which is
But
crazy
yeah,
for us to
because
be
they
in
can take it out.
2025 and not know what
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
scientists are
It's
just
like
like your medical
it's
experts,
we
all of
don't know.
them. They're
But
like, "Why is that in there?"
yeah, but the gallbladder's kind of. I mean, they know what the gallbladder does, right?
Yeah.
But they can take it out and you can live like a
It's
normal
basically
life.
like a trash
Yeah,
can in
they
your body,
they
isn't
don't
it?
have to give you a new one, which I think they should give me a new one. But anyway, so like, what happens if, like, I die and I get up to heaven? They're doing the checklist and I make all the ticks and they go, okay, now we're just gonna we're just gonna need to collect your gallbladder and then we can let you through the gates.
You know what's crazy to me
You
about
know?
being an organ donor is like, what if, I die and then they are like, "Oh, nice, sweet, she's an organ donor."
Yeah.
And then they crack open my body and they're like, "Wow, her gallbladder sucks, her liver sucks,
Yeah.
like kidneys
Oh.
aren't that good." Like
Yeah, right, right. It's you make it sound like you buy a furnished house and you go in and sight unseen and you get in there and find out all the furniture is lousy.
yeah.
Like, I
Like,
don't think that's how it
thanks for
works.
these organs.
Yeah,
Like
like, but was she a
they're all
smoker and a
trash.
drinker? What's going on here? The lungs are terrible. The liver smells like pickles.
His stomach is a mess.
Yeah.
Like,
Also,
you know.
though, do you ever wonder if we ever get to the point? This is something I think about a lot, and I'm not
Can't
I'm not
wait to
joking.
hear it.
No, if we ever get to the point where they can do brain transplants,
Oh
right? In
man.
other words, somebody has some sort of brain disease or something, and there's
Yeah.
somebody who which I guess that first part of the problem there would be usually they can only take out your organs if you're brain dead, but let's say they come up with some way that this works. That somebody who recently passed, they can take their brain out, they had a healthy brain. Would that person have the memories of the person that got the brain transplant, or would they have the memories of the person that the brain came from?
Yeah, I don't know. That is an interesting question.
I think it would be the person that the brain came from, right?
Because
I
that's
mean,
where it's all stored,
yeah, I
I
mean, I
guess.
assume, I
Like
assume
you
it's all stored.
completely take out my brain and put it in your head. Do you have my personality now? Like, are you
Yeah,
walking around acting like me now?
yeah, that's
That would
I
be
always wonder that. That's
so
probably
funny.
if that's the case, that's why you would never have a brain transplant unless the intention of the brain transplant was to give the person a new body, like their body was shot, but their brain was fully functional. Stephen Hawking, somebody like that.
If
That
you take my brain out and you put it into your body, am I confused now because I'm a guy?
right in your head, yeah. I don't know. I don't know how that. I don't know how all that works.
Because then at the same time, you wouldn't do that because you would literally just be like,
Or do you wake up and you're like,
how do I?
who am I? You
Yeah,
know,
that's what I'm saying.
that would be. You just wake
I
up
don't
with
know.
amnesia, or you wake up with amnesia, but then you have like phantom memories of what.
Do you have it?
Actually, I copyright this idea for my next book.
It's going
No,
to be a
but you know what?
children's book about
You know,
brain
yeah,
surgery
no,
and
not a,
waking up
that
as.
would not be a chill. Um, but
That's interesting.
it's like there. I don't know. Are there other than the brain? Are there any other organs that they can't transplant at this point? Like your heart, they do heart transplants. They do lung
Mhm.
transplants. They do liver transplants. They do kidney transplants. I
Mhm.
don't think they do gallbladder transplants, but or stomach transplants. I don't think I've ever heard of that.
I don't think they do it on ones. Well, I guess you need your stomach, but like your gallbladder, since you can live without it, I just feel like they don't even waste their
Yeah, what would
time
be the
like
point?
going through all of that.
Right, if it can be taken out and you can still live. If
You
it's
know what I don't
damaged,
understand? The pancreas.
pancreas. You
Like
don't
the
understand
like
it?
the diet like diabetics, they have a
Right,
bad pancreas.
right.
So, just to cure diabetes, couldn't you
Transplant.
transplant literally a healthy, like
Yeah,
I
you
have
would
a
think.
healthy
Well,
pancreas, couldn't you take if I die tomorrow, can't you take my pancreas out and
right.
give it to
So,
someone with diabetes and now they have a
but
perfectly working pancreas?
you would think. But here's the thing.
Boom, I just
Type
solved diabetes.
type 1, slow down. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder. I think type 2 is different. I mean, it is different, but I don't think it's an autoimmune disorder like type 1 is.
Mhm.
So basically what happens, and if there's any doctors listening to our podcast, first of all, what's wrong with you? Why are you listening to our podcast? But secondly, if any of this is incorrect, please feel free to
Yeah.
correct me on it. But um, basically it's an autoimmune disorder where, like, you know, your body attacks the pancreas,
Mhm.
and that's how it stops functioning. So, with that in
Mm.
mind, if they were to replace it, if it's something that's just in your cells, then you
It
get
would
that new one
keep
in, and it
getting
would do it
bad.
again. Yeah, I don't know if
That makes
I don't know
sense.
if that's why.
No, I guess that makes sense because like that's why you have literally, 5-year-olds who get type 1 diabetes.
Right.
I mean, they barely even use their pancreas at that point.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't even have any
Low
miles on it.
mileage, yeah.
Yeah, no.
You know what I also don't understand? This is switching topics. Um, oh, the little voice in your head.
The little voice.
Where does that
Okay,
come from?
so that's a good question. It's also
Right?
referred to as an internal monologue. But you know what? That's on a similar topic.
Uh-huh.
I would like to understand, and I would like to know what scientific.
Or dreams, like
Yeah,
dreams as
that's what I
well.
was gonna say. Dreams.
Where does that
I
all
would
come
like to know
from?
what actual science, because there used to be these books you could get that were like astrology almost, that would tell you what different dreams meant. And
Yeah.
come on, it's somebody making that stuff up. But um, I would really
There's
like
like
to
psychics who
understand.
will literally like.
Yeah, analyze your dreams. I
Mhm.
would really like to understand because I have some dreams that I'm like, Well, two experiences I've had. First of all, I have some dreams where it's like, it was like I went and watched a movie because I
Mhm.
didn't. It wasn't people I knew, and in my dream, it wasn't. It was like I was looking at somebody else's life. Like that's what it felt like.
Oh.
And then, but then I've also had the experience, especially when I was younger. I remember having this, where I dreamt about somebody that I never met in my life, and the next day I met that person.
They say
Weirdest thing
though,
ever.
they say that your brain can't make up faces.
Oh, well,
They say your brain can't make up faces, that it like if you see someone's face in your dreams, you've seen them before.
okay. Well, that's weird because, like I said, this person. I mean, it was somebody I'd never met, and I. But then,
Maybe you're psychic.
but then, it's funny because there's you've seen what is it? Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, for it being a Marvel movie, it presents a kind of interesting theory on it, and the idea in that is that you know your dreams, you're seeing a version of yourself that lives in an alternate universe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
But where does or I guess that goes along the same side of deja vu.
right,
What is deja vu? How does it happen? Where does
right.
it come from? Like,
It's because the version of you in a different universe already
right.
already experienced that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
so
that's
weird.
yeah.
Like I'll have deja vu of a moment that I thought about like years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
now I'm sitting in the car, and it's always like something random too. It's not like a
Yeah.
specific like I'm doing something fun. It could be as simple of a moment of like
Yeah.
me sitting in the car and like experiencing just like a situation or a
Yeah. And it's like,
conversation or a moment or driving past something or
yeah.
whatever that you're like, wait a minute, we've been here before.
Yeah, yeah, isn't that and
Where does
that's
that
an
come
odd
from?
thing because that's something that I think everybody has experienced too. So that's
Uh-huh.
what makes it one of those. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so if you wanted to look at it from an analytical standpoint, it's a possibility that your mind's playing tricks on you. Your mind is thinking it experienced that before, and you really didn't.
That's true.
but
Yeah.
but like having been through it, I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case. But I don't know what it is. It's the same thing with dreams, though. Like it really is the
Mhm.
same thing with dreams. Like what causes that? Like your brain gets bored in the middle of the night, so it starts making up stories. I don't think that's it. Like I
But
would
you
really
don't
like
even
to
always
understand
have
what it is.
dreams. Like you don't like have
Yeah,
like when you feel a dream, you'll
yeah,
be dreaming something, and it'll feel so realistic in terms of like you falling or doing
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that, and it'll literally like wake you up.
Yep.
Like that's also very crazy.
Yeah, I remember having when I was a kid having one that it was oddly enough, it was me. I think it was your Uncle Jimmy and your Aunt Mary, and we were all standing at the top of this tower.
Mhm.
Like picture it like a four-sided tower. We're all standing there, and I don't know, maybe Aunt JoJo was on the other side, but I couldn't see her. But I'm at the top of this tower, and I look over and I see your Uncle Jimmy on the one side. And I look over, I see Aunt Mary on the other side, and your Aunt Mary pushed me off. And and I woke up, and I must have jolted right before
Uh-huh.
I woke up because it felt like I hit the bed as I woke up. Like in other words,
Mhm.
I hit the bed from the fall. So
But also, like, you even remembering that,
yeah,
because think of
yeah,
how many times you'll have a dream, and then, like, literally 10 minutes after you wake up, you you might remember that dream or certain details about
yeah,
it, but you
yeah.
never remember a dream, like, just fully through. And they said, I saw a study one time, and it said something about how actually in a full night's sleep, you will have
Hmm.
multiple different dreams. You just don't remember them
Yeah.
the next morning. Like you might remember the most recent one that you're having right before you
Hmm.
have to wake up, but you could have had two, three, or more dreams before then. I mean, think about it. You literally sleep for most people like
Yeah.
8 hours.
Yeah.
You're not dreaming.
Allegedly.
You're not dreaming that whole
Yeah.
8 hours, that same dream.
What's funny is and you're right. Like I recently have this experience where I'll I'll kind of like I'll barely be, which they say normally you need to be in a very deep sleep to dream, right?
Mhm.
But I'll like barely have gone into bed, and I'll start having these weird like dreams of like, but it's weird stuff. It's like
Mhm.
somebody's outside the window, and I go up and I look and I see somebody's outside the window, and I go to do something about it, and then I wake up and I'm still laying in bed. Like yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, weird things like that happen. So
I love
I
dreaming.
think I think the alternate universe versions of me are trying to get in here. They like this one better.
Or even just like intuition and all that stuff. I
Yeah,
think all that stuff is so interesting because
yeah,
where does that come from? Like I've
yeah,
had moments where you have that feeling of like just like anxiousness
yeah,
or like nervousness or whatever. Like I feel like something bad's gonna happen,
yeah.
and then something does like
Oh,
bad does
I've never
happen.
had that. I've never, that's
I think
one
it's a
thing I
woman
can say
thing.
I've
Women have
experienced.
a better intuition than men,
It could be that you're psychic.
says experts. Oh yeah, I could
It
be
could be that
psychic
you're
too.
psychic, and I'm not.
Wouldn't that be something if I
Yeah.
actually was? I think it
If I
would.
was gonna have like a brain power, I would want like the power to be able to like, like levitate things with my mind.
Like I want that drink over here,
Yeah,
over there.
because
No, I
and
wouldn't care for that too
and
much.
that mostly comes from laziness. To be honest, it's mostly like I want to go all the way over there and get the remote.
How often does that happen that you really would like trade every other
It,
superpower for that?
like every day.
I would want to read people's minds.
Yeah, yeah. That I don't know though. So think about that. If you were reading people's minds, but you had like it was something you didn't have control over. So every time you walked into a room, every person in the room's thoughts you were
Oh, it's
hearing.
just so loud. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would try and
that would be
focus in
insane.
on someone that I'm really trying to listen
Yeah.
to what they're saying.
I mean, I feel like if you woke up today and suddenly you had that power, though, and hadn't learned that yet, before you learned how to control it, you might go insane.
I mean, it's just like walking in a room and everyone's talking and hearing you talking
Yeah.
outward,
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's true.
except I'm just hearing you
Yeah, but
in your head.
people's thoughts are different. People's thoughts are like, did I shut the iron off? Yeah, I did. Wait, maybe I didn't shut the iron off.
But that's what I'm
Should I
talking
drive
about.
home? I should drive home and check. No, no, no. I remember shutting the iron off.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That internal dialogue is so interesting to me.
Yeah,
That's what I don't understand.
yeah, yeah.
That second voice in your head.
Yeah. And when does that develop? Like, how
Yeah.
young does that, like, do babies have that going on before they can speak? Well, definitely, I think they do before they can speak.
I mean, I feel like kids do. I think
Because,
definitely little kids do.
yeah, because that's just, it's almost like a side effect or like of your thoughts. It's literally your thoughts, being kind of
Outward.
having a voice without actually having a voice.
Even like um not to stay on this topic, I just think it's really interesting. Maybe we
Yeah,
should do a whole episode
I
on
think
just
we
like a
should.
deep dive into it. But
Yeah.
um
Maybe do some research.
yeah. But like even with when it comes to dreams, like even dogs have dreams. Like
Yeah.
animals have
Yeah.
dreams.
Yeah.
Clearly. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
you
Oh
know?
yeah. Have you ever sat next to a dog or a cat, but dogs more so? Have you ever sat next to a dog and their legs are moving and
Yeah.
they're barking, but they're barking like whoop,
Mhm.
whoop, like under their breath?
Yeah, like
That's the
clearly something's
funniest
going
thing.
on.
Yeah. I want to be able to know what the dog's dreaming about. Like that's the one I want to know. Like cuz to me it's probably like they're running after their ball or they're chasing, a cat or like something because they're always running and barking. So, but then their life experiences are kind of limited too, I
That's what I'm
guess.
saying.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Speaking of animals though, you know what's funny to me that I also don't understand is like the talking animals,
Talking.
like parrots and stuff that can
Oh,
like make.
yeah. Like when did they learn that they could do that and you could train them to do that?
How do you, yeah.
That was I like to think
If we
with
can make
parrots it was a
birds.
very lonely pirate who who figured out that because he heard the bird make a sound. He said, "Wait, that thing's mocking me." I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is they
Like he's not really
imitate. They
talking, he's
imitate.
just.
Yeah, they imitate.
Have you ever seen those
It's not like
videos
Iago in in Aladdin. It's, it's not
where
like
he's
that.
just full
Where
talking?
he's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he can't.
They just like the neighbor, next door. I don't know if he still has the bird because I mean it's been winter, so we haven't been outside as much. But
True.
he has. It's not a parrot. It's a I think it's a cockatiel maybe,
Mhm.
and that thing makes all. I mean it's what's funny is sometimes you'll hear it talking, but it's just it sound like I can't. I'm not close enough to it to hear what it's saying, but it just sounds like it's kind of mumbling. But it mimics a lot of like it mimics the school bell at the
Oh yeah,
school
the
that's
school
across the
bell.
lake,
It'll make the same noise. That's
yeah,
always funny.
and it mimics some cell phone ring. I think it's like a Nokia or one of those.
That's so
they're
funny.
and yeah, and every now and then you'll hear it mimicking the lock sound on a car alarm.
What?
Yeah, yeah, it's just random stuff.
That's
Actually
funny.
one day I heard it mimicking a dog barking. Yeah. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's true too. Though, like I guess birds in general like mock other birds, right? I mean, when they're chirping, unless they're communicating somehow, which they could
But
be,
like
it
how
could
are
be.
they talking? How can a parrot go from like just a chirp 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 type of bird
Right.
to hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. I don't know. They've clearly got
You're a
something
loser. You're a
in their
loser.
in
Like
their
how do you
uh, what mean parrots have you been around that
I
called
don't
you a
want to talk
loser?
about it. You remember they used to have that? What hotel was that? Was it the Grand Floridian?
No,
Not the Grand
it
Floridian. It was
was the Grand Hyatt.
Grand
The
Hyatt,
Hyatt.
Grand Cypress.
Yeah.
They had a parrot in the lobby,
Yes.
and that parrot would talk.
Yeah.
But if we can make parrots talk, how can we not make birds talk?
Or and
Or not birds, I'm sorry, dogs.
dogs. Well,
Dogs, cats. Like Maple's so smart. But have you heard
wow. So
what?
you know what? I got an AI answer on how parrots can talk.
Okay,
It
read
says
it.
they have a specialized vocal organ called a syrinx, Syrinx, which allows them to produce and modify sounds. So it's that
Oh, it's a
they're
vocal
yeah,
cord.
their vocal cords designed differently. That's very interesting. So it's not because I always thought it was like something you had to, and the parakeets can learn to talk too.
What was that animal that that we learned about the other day that in our game that
Um,
Oh no, it wasn't that. It was a banana. We share a lot of the same DNA as a banana. Never
yeah,
mind. That takes
yeah.
away my question. I was gonna ask, like, why
You,
can't that animal? Isn't it pigs though that we do share a lot of the
I
same
think well,
like?
yeah, because there have been cases where, like talking back about organ transplants, like I
Mhm.
remember it was in maybe the '80s. There was they did a transplant of a pig's heart into a human,
Yeah, but
and
he
the
died.
person, yeah, they survived for some time, but they ended up dying.
Yeah,
So yeah, could you
crazy.
imagine though if you had a pig's heart,
Just like
like
walking around living
yeah,
life with a pig's heart.
would would you every now and then like find yourself about to snort, you know,
No, because that's
suddenly
brain
like to
transplant.
roll around in mud or something like
That's not a
no,
heart.
no, I know, but so we were talking about the brain transplant thing,
Just
but
imagine I'd be
do you
out
ever
of breath.
wonder how your memories are stored in your brain and
There's a
why it
specific
is
part in your brain,
yeah,
like corner of your brain where your memories are.
yeah, but why is it that certain memories remain and other memories don't? Like for example,
Mm,
you know, that dream that I was talking about from like probably I don't know 40 years ago.
mhm.
um, why does that memory stick in my brain? And if you asked me what I had for lunch last Tuesday, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Oh, right.
Why do certain things get retained in your brain and other things? Why is it,
Even situations where I'm about to say something and then I'll like
right,
forget it.
right? Like, why, is that information stored in your brain, and why is it certain information is harder to, you know, recover than other information?
No, that's true.
No, I was looking for an answer. You don't.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I have no idea. Yeah, you're asking the wrong girl.
darn it.
We'll review that again
Yeah,
next time.
we'll ask ChatGPT later. I would like to do another episode though, talking about the whole
Yeah.
thing about dreams and the brain and all that, because I
Mhm.
think that's a
So interesting.
fascinating topic. Yep,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
maybe do some research. Cool. Well, I enjoyed this one. I hope the listeners did too. I hope you did.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
hope
didn't like it that
I
much.
hope our what we have like one or two listeners right now.
Yeah.
Actually, we're in
Raise your
now
hand.
11 countries. We've added Pakistan to the list. Yeah, because we were at 10, and just now we went to 11, and Pakistan was the only one that I don't think was on there before. Although I'll have to go back and look.
Pakistan.
Pakistan, but Australia is now our uh, second highest. So
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's why Australia is,
they're
yeah.
right under the U.S. So g'day.
Shut. Is that Australian? Shout out to Australia. This
Yeah.
girl, I was on real quick TikTok live the other day. Well, I was on TikTok and some girl from Australia was on TikTok live, and somebody asked about like the bugs.
Yeah.
Probably an American. Like, oh, are the bugs that bad in Australia? And she was like, oh yeah, the bugs are real bad here.
But she
It's
said,
like, oof.
wow.
I mean, she said it in
Did
an
she say?
Australian
Did she
accent.
say? Yeah. And did she say, crikey? I feel like that
No,
should have been no
no,
crikey.
no, no,
All
no.
right. Well, maybe we'll do some. So now we have another country that we have to do some fun facts for. Maybe we'll do another version of the fun listener fun facts. All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.